If you're ready to break free from the chains of the past and take charge of your life, then stay tuned. Grab a notebook and pen because we're going to do some deep work today. Let's get started. Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Ready, Set, Shine. If you're new here, my name is Maria Anokeke. I'm an entrepreneur, VIP women's coach, marketing expert, wife, mom, and much more. So what exactly is a victim mentality or mindset, and how can you tell if you also have this mentality? Let's break it down. A victim mentality is a way of thinking in which a person consistently sees themselves as a victim of circumstances beyond their control. This mindset can develop from past traumas, repeated failures, or negative experiences. There's a sense of helplessness. People with a victim mentality often feel powerless to change their situation. They believe that no matter what they do, things will never get better. There's also a tendency to blame others or external circumstances for their problems. This might sound like, if I had grown up in a better environment, I will be better off now. Or, I can't succeed because the system is rigged against me. This constant blaming prevents them from taking responsibility and making proactive changes. A victim mentality often involves a focus on negative outcomes and a tendency to expect the worst. This negativity bias makes it difficult to see opportunities or solutions because the focus is always on what could go wrong or what has gone wrong. And lastly, people with a victim mentality often seek validation and sympathy from others. While it's completely normal to need support during tough times, constantly seeking sympathy can reinforce the victim mindset and prevent growth. It can create a cycle where the person feels validated in their helplessness rather than empowered to change. It's important to understand that having moments of feeling like a victim is natural, especially after a traumatic event. But staying in that mindset long term is what holds you back. So stay with me as we continue to explore how to transform this mindset. Let me show you 5 steps to shift your perspective and taking back control of your life. So the first step in breaking free from a victim mindset is to recognize it. This can be tricky because, as mentioned earlier, it often feels justified. Maybe you've been through some tough stuff and it's easy to feel like the world is against you. But here's the truth, staying in that mindset only keeps you stuck. If you found yourself in one of the categories mentioned earlier, don't worry. Acknowledging is the first step to change it. Challenge your thoughts. Once you recognize those victim thoughts, it's time to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it even true? Most of the time, our negative thoughts are just stories we've been telling ourselves, or we use our thoughts as excuses. That can seem convenient. It's a way to avoid facing difficult truths and taking action. I get it. It can feel safer to stay in that familiar place of self-pity and blame. But here's the thing, while it might feel convenient in the short term, it's actually holding you back from the life you truly deserve. Yes, it takes courage to step out of the comfort zone, but imagine the freedom and empowerment you'll gain. You have so much potential waiting to be unleashed, and it starts with letting go of those excuses. Take responsibility. This might be the toughest part, but it's also the most empowering. Take responsibility for your life means acknowledging that you have the power to change it. It's about shifting from why is this happening to me to what can I do about it. Think of a situation where you felt like a victim. Now ask yourself, what part of this can I control? Even if it's just your reaction or attitude, that's a start. By taking responsibility, you reclaim your power. Forgive and let go. Holding on to grudges and past hurts only weighs you down. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was okay. It means you are no longer willing to let it control your life. Write a letter to someone who has hurt you, even if you don't send it. Express your feelings and then let it go. I can say from my own experience that this technique can be very helpful. I've already been able to implement it a few times. But what I did every time, I wrote the letter to the person, sometimes it was even several pages, and then I took the letter and burned it. Seeing this piece of paper burn in front of me and the words "and therefore the pain" dissolve into smoke feels very satisfying and liberating. And while we're on the subject of forgiveness and letting go, let's talk about therapy for a moment. Therapy can be incredibly beneficial. It provides a safe space to explore your feelings, understand your past, and develop coping strategies. I highly recommend seeking professional help if you're struggling. However, there's another side to consider. Therapy can sometimes be equally damaging if you find yourself reliving what you experienced in the past over and over again. Constantly revisiting those painful memories can keep you trapped in a state of victimhood. It's like picking at the wound that never gets a chance to heal. The key is balance. Use therapy to process and understand your experiences, but don't let it become a perpetual cycle of rehashing old wounds. You don't want to keep putting yourself in the state of pain and helplessness. It's essential to focus on healing and moving forward, not just dwelling on the past. Remember, the goal of therapy is to help you become stronger in the present and the future, not to keep you stuck in your suffering in the past. If you feel like your therapy sessions are just reopening old wounds without providing you with the tools to heal and grow, it might be worth discussing this with your therapist. Together you can find a more productive approach that supports your journey towards empowerment and self-worth. Rewrite your identity. Now it's time to create a new narrative for your life. Imagine your ideal life. How do you feel? What are you doing? And how would you describe the personality you have that is living this ideal life? Write it down in the present tense as if it's already happening. And then read what you have written several times a day. It's best to save it on your phone so you can look at it again and again. Set a reminder to remind yourself to read it. It's important to configure your memory with this new update and consolidate these thoughts. And this only happens if you do it often enough and regularly. Your task today is watch this video again from the beginning. I really want you to be honest with yourself. Listen again to the different points that make up a victim mindset. Do you recognize yourself in any of these points? It's often the case that we actually have our lives totally under control, but we have this one thought, this one excuse that we use to justify our lack of action. Which thought is it for you? Where do you use your self-pity card to avoid leaving your comfort zone? I know you know it, but I want you to be aware of it and the consequences. To wrap up this video, I would like to leave you with some real-life examples to understand how people can experience the same traumatic event but deal with it in a very different ways. You may have heard of Evy Poumpouras. She is a former US Secret Service special agent who protected US presidents and worked undercover for many years. If not, you absolutely must find out more about her. Her story is very inspiring. In addition to her impressive career, she was in one of the Twin Towers on 9/11 and survived the attack. Nevertheless, she consciously never talks about herself as a 9/11 survivor. She talks about herself and only identifies herself as Evy, her given name. I mean, 9/11 was a day of unimaginable tragedy that affected countless lives. Yet people have processed and moved forward from this event in various ways. On one hand, there are individuals who still see themselves as victims of the attack. The trauma of that day continues to dominate their thoughts and emotions. For them, 9/11 is not just a day in the past, but a constant presence in their lives. On the other hand, there are people like Evy who acknowledge the pain and loss but have chosen to see 9/11 as one of the many days in their lives. They have found ways to honor the memory of the day while continuing to live fully and positively. So the difference between these two responses isn't about the level of pain or loss experienced. It's about the mindset and the choices made in the aftermath. One mindset keeps them trapped in the past, while the other allows them to integrate their experiences into a broader narrative of resilience and hope. So the next time you find yourself dwelling on a painful past event, remember these examples. Ask yourself, how can I honor my experiences while still moving forward? Remember, acknowledging that you might have a victim mentality is not about blaming yourself. It's about empowering yourself to make a change. You have the power to rewrite your story and step into a more empowered, confident version of yourself. And with this statement, I would like to thank you for watching. If you like this video, please share, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, and most important, go out there and shine. See you next time.